Hello everyone and welcome to this class. In this class, we are going to learn about the routes of transmission of pathogens. Okay, so in this lecture, what I'm going to start is that here, uh, I'm sorry for my bad drawing, but here is a human body. Okay, and here is a bacteria, or you can say any pathogen, but this basically seems like a bacteria. So let us consider that this bacteria is trying to enter into our body, right? So there are certain ways or certain routes which this pathogen will follow, and the routes which are followed by pathogens will be discussed in this lecture. Okay. So first we will start with the definition of routes of transmission. Like routes of transmission are various ways through which pathogen, which can be bacteria, virus, fungi, or any parasite, are spread from one host to another or from environment to host. Yes, it's true. Because a bacteria or you can say a pathogen can spread from environment also to host, or you can say susceptible host, susceptible host. Or it can spread from one person to again to a host, which means second person. And here are the 10 routes which are used by this pathogen in order to spread into our body. The first route is the direct contact transmission, then comes indirect, then comes droplet transmission, then comes airborne transmission. After that comes borne, perienteral transmission, transplacental transmission, zoonotic transmission, fecal-oral transmission, and iatrogenic transmission. Now, first of all, we will start with the direct contact. Now, as you know, in our daily life, there is a common thing which we all do, which is handshake and shake. Some even might hug each other, mostly in women. So, in the case of direct contact transmission, the physical contact between infected and susceptible host is there, and this contact between host and susceptible host, or you can say infected host and susceptible host, will transfer pathogen from that infected person to susceptible person. And it is of two types. First is person to person and second is mother to child, because you can say that these two are kind of same. You know, in person to person, the first thing which I'm going to discuss is touching. As I have told you about the handshake. So pathogens can be transmitted through skin to skin contact. Skin to skin contact. Especially you must have seen in case of fungal infection. Fungal infection. Right? They can directly, you know, invade the skin of other person if somehow they comes in contact with an infected person. Now similarly there is another bacteria which is Staphylococcus aureus. Staphylococcus aureus. Okay. This bacteria Staphylococcus aureus can be spread from one person to another via touching. Okay. The second thing is kissing. Now kissing is again a mode of direct contact transmission, or you can say direct transmission also, because the transmission of pathogen in this case, you can say is direct once again, right? I am going to write it saliva here in bracket, because sometime while kissing the saliva of two persons can get mixed with each other and they can transmit pathogens via that. The example for it will be Epstein-Barr virus. Sorry, my board skipped. Barr virus. Okay. And the third mode of direct contact is sexual transmission. Sexual transmission. This especially occur in case if your host have STDs, which is sexually transmitted disease, and these sexually transmitted disease can go to a healthy person, such that they can, these pathogens can spread from one person to another. Okay, so the transmission of the sexually infected person, what am I saying, I'm really sorry, the transmission of these sexually transmitted pathogens from one person to another person is, of course, this is caused by sexual intercourse. And basically heterosexual person heterosexual persons, these persons have more susceptibility for them, because one person is mating with so many other person that you don't even know which person is infected or not. Okay, the example of sexually transmitted disease are HIV, which is most famous one. But apart from HIV, even human papilloma virus can also spread from this transmission route, which is again a part of direct contact route. And apart from that, gonorrhea is also there. Gonorrhea, which can again transmit via sexual route, which is direct contact. And then after this comes the mother to child transmission, which is vertical transmission. Father, mother. But a mother's can go to, you know, mother's bacterium or pathogen can go to their child as well. And there are basically three routes via which they can, transfer to offspring or fetus. The first is during pregnancy, and mostly you will also learn about it in transplacental transplacental kind of transmission also. Like we have bacterium Toxoplasma gondii. Toxoplasma gondii. Right? This bacterium can, pass from mother to the offspring, right? And after that we have cytomegalovirus, then Treponema pallidum, which cause syphilis. I'm writing here syphilis due to the lack of space. I have not given any extra line for it. So syphilis can also, transmit from mother to children. Then after, it is during the birth, right? Now during the birth, when baby is coming out of the uterus, right? If at that time a mother is having some urinary tract infections, then those infections can go to offspring also. Okay, and also the pathogens such as group B streptococcus. I am writing here GBS for group B streptococcus. They can be transmitted during vaginal delivery. Okay, and also during breastfeeding. Like if a mother has uh, gained the, you can say, some sort of infection after giving the birth to a child, and after gaining that infection, if that mother is feeding milk to the offspring, then it is possible that infections like HIV and cytomegalovirus can be transmitted via blood to the child. Then we will move to our second mode of transmission or route of transmission, which is indirect route. And in this indirect route, pathogens spread through intermediate objects or substance. Basically, we have some substance or objects. So, what are those substance or objects? They can be fomite transmission or they can be vehicular transmission, right? Now, fomite transmission contain inanimate objects. Inanimate objects, like you have door handles or door knobs. Then we have towels, sometimes even clothes, etc. Okay, let me explain it first. So let us say this is a person. Okay, this is an infected person. Now what he does is he takes this towel to clean his body after taking a shower. And here we have a healthy person. Now, if this healthy person uses this same towel, then there are chances that bacteria, or you can say pathogens, can be transmitted from this towel to this person. Now, this is how the fomite transmission works. Okay. Now, after the fomite transmission, we have vehicular transmission. In vehicular transmission, okay, vehicular transmission, you can say these are also kind of inanimate objects, but the thing is, these things can be carried to from one place to another. For example, we have food and water. You must have heard about the case of typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary. Okay, she transmitted typhoid to such a large group that they get infected just by eating her dishes. Okay, then after this we have water. Suppose now, especially in India, we say that कि जूठा खाने से या पीने से प्यार बढ़ता है. But sometimes, along with that love, pathogens can also get transmitted. Okay, so let us say I am an infected person. I am drinking water from this cup. Contains water. Okay, and a second normal person is drinking from same normal, but then that normal person can get disease out of this water also. If I talk about the pathogens which can get transmitted via food and water, then it can be vibrio choleric, it can be hepatitis A virus, and other food and waterborne pathogens, right? Apart from this food and water, then we also have blood and its products. Okay, now this blood and its product can also come in indirect contact transmission. And you will ask how. Suppose uh, suppose there was an accident and a person is getting blood transfusion, and if that blood was carried from infected person to a normal person, then there are chances that that blood might contain some pathogen if not tested. Okay, and similarly, another case is that of needle sharing and blood transfusion. I've explained you about blood transfusion earlier. Now needle sharing is it works similar to that because one needle can carry a pathogen from infected person to a healthy individual. And the pathogens like HIV, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, and others can also be transmitted via this mode. Then the third point is droplet transmission. Let me mark it so that it can be easily visible. Then we have droplet mode of transmission. Now you will ask what are these droplets? So basically, droplets or respiratory droplets are, you can say, our uh, mucus. Yes, it is mucus which is more than 5 micrometer in size. Okay. Now, these respiratory droplets which can contain pathogens are expelled and the mucus and can go and merge to the mucus of a susceptible host. So it is better to cover yourself while sneezing and coughing, right? And also if someone is sneezing, you should avoid directly facing that person, right? So the first case of the respiratory droplets or route that can occur can be from cough and sneezing, which can of course can carry influenza virus. Then it can carry tuberculosis, mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria, and also SARS-CoV-2 is a great example because COVID-19 has passed just now. So these are the examples of pathogens for coughing and sneezing. Similar to the coughing and sneezing, the talking is a similar activity where respiratory droplets can come out of your mouth, and they can also, you know, affect healthy individuals. Affect individuals. Okay. Then after the third point, we are moving to the fourth point, which is airborne infection, airborne transmission. Okay, so the spread of pathogens through tiny aerosol particles, and the size of those tiny aerosol particles will be less than equal to 5 micrometer. Okay, in the case of droplets here, we have size more than 5 micrometer, but in case of airborne transmission, that aerosol particles will have size less than 5 micrometer. Okay, and these particles, aerosol particles, can remain suspended in air for longer periods of time and can be inhaled by susceptible individuals and can cause infection, of course. And the best example for this kind of uh, transmission is TB virus, sorry, not virus, bacterium, which is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay, this is one of the example which can easily spread via aerosol. And apart from this, varicella zoster virus can also spread via this mode. Then we have measles virus, which can also spread via airborne transmission. Okay. Then after this comes the vector-borne transmission. Okay. So in vector-borne transmission, pathogens are transmitted to humans through the bites of infected arthropods. Basically, an arthropod. You must have known about insects like ants, ticks. We even have mites that can also cause this vector-borne infection. So here, let us say this is an ideal some pathogen, and here you have a vector like mosquito. So this mosquito will carry this pathogen and will transmit it to humans. Okay. So these vector-borne transmission can be of two types. The first one is biological vector, which uses vectors like mosquito and ticks, right? So like you must have heard about Plasmodium species like Plasmodium vivax, etc. So Plasmodium, Plasmodium vivax, Falciparum ovale, they can be transmitted via mosquito. Then we have dengue, we have Zika virus. They can also be transmitted via this biological vector, which is mosquito. Okay, but in case of this biological vector, what happens is you can say half cycle of life of pathogen is completed inside the vector. Like in case of plasmodium, right? Sexual phase of its life cycle is completed inside mosquito, but asexual phase is completed inside humans. So you can say that they need both mosquito and ticks in order to complete mosquito and humans in order to complete their life cycle. Now after this we have mechanical vectors. Now in mechanical vectors we can take the example of the world famous cockroaches. Okay, let us say this is a cockroach. I am once again sorry for my bad drawing. Okay, so the cockroaches can carry pathogens on their body, right? The pathogen, they will not ingest it, but it is because you know that you know about the areas where these cockroaches live. They can even live in sewages, inside your sink tubes, sink pipes, right? So there are chances that they may carry these pathogens and transmit them to humans, right? And they can cause infections like dysentery, some gastroenteritis problem also. Gastroenteritis problems, right? I mean, these are infections, okay? They can also carry so many type of pathogens that you can't even count. They can even cause outbreak in some areas if they are carrying very severe kind of pathogens. Now, after this, we have parenteral transmission. Okay. Now, this parenteral transmission, don't think. No, I know that this word matches somewhat to the parents, but it is not that. It is the introduction of pathogens directly into bloodstream, and it happens when skin or mucous membrane gets damaged. Okay. So there are some things which can cause this infection. The first thing is, as I have said or explained about it earlier, is needles, injections, etc. Right? Like if accidental needle stick injury can transmit blood-borne pathogens such as HIV, HBV, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus. Okay, they can be present in the needle or injections which are either not properly sterilized or are used many times. Similarly, tattooing, tattooing can also transmit tattooing can also transmit uh, the pathogens from normal individual to infected, oh sorry, infected individual to normal individual. Apart from that, you must have heard that many people go for piercing, which is basically, you know, that in India, most families, they, you know, take their girls to somewhere and they pierce their ears. Such similar things can also cause the transmission of pathogens. Then we have animal bites. Animal bites, like if a rabid dog, if it bites you, then it can also cause the transmission of pathogens to you or to the one who the dog has bitten. This is how parenteral transmission works. Then we have the seventh point, which is transplacental transmission, which is similar to the direct. Where was it? Direct. Here we have the transplacental, like during pregnancy kind of thing. But we are separately describing this also. Okay. Okay. In transplacental, as I have explained you earlier, it can, you know, uh, pathogens which are present in the body of mother can pass through placenta to fetus, and some of the examples of that is are rubella virus, then we have HIV also, which can also pass placenta because it is very small. Then we have cytomegalovirus, which is although large in virus category, but it's very small and can pass through placenta. Then we have treponema pallidum, which can cause syphilis, and we have toxoplasma gondii, toxoplasma gondii. Oh, sorry. So this can also cause infection in, you can say, children, or yeah, children, which are in the form of fetus. Then the eighth is the zoonotic transmission. Now, you can remember this from zoo, that zoo contain animals, right? So animals can also be a uh, route of transmission to humans, from where pathogens can come in contact with humans. Okay, so it is again of two types, which is direct and indirect. So indirect contact, like animal handling. In case of animal handling, whether it is in zoo or it is in your house, okay, you must, many of us have dog as their buddy. I mean, as your animal friend, right? So these animals can also carry pathogens like of this example rabies. Then we have brucella also. Brucella species can also be there. And if we talk about indirect contact, then you can take the example of rats, right? Like this is a sack of grains. A rat bites it, eats it, can even urinate in the grains. And if you eat those grains, then that thing can cause you indirect zoonotic infection. So basically, this is how indirect thing works. Okay. Then we have fecal oral route. Now, as you know that pathogens they can survive for a little longer time if they are present in fecus, because the fecus contains many nutrients which are essential for, I mean not essential, which are enough for their survival for a longer period of time. Now if somehow this poop, or you can say this fecus, can somehow get ingested by humans, then this can also cause infection. So the most common uh, infection with infection, or I can say pathogen, are worms. Okay, worms can lay eggs and they can, you know, transmit or get transmitted to our parasites. They can get transmitted to humans. Okay. Similarly, various enteric viruses are also there. Like we have E. coli, then we have Shigella, then we have Vibrio cholerae. Okay, these enteric viruses can also transmit via fecal oral route. Then we have various bacteria. Of course, bacteria is everywhere, so bacteria can also get transmitted. Right? Oh, sorry. I'm really sorry. These are the examples of bacteria. About the enteric virus, these are rotavirus or norovirus. Rotavirus or norovirus. Okay. Then the last thing is the iatrogenic transmission. Now, iatrogenic, it refers to the infection caused by medical or surgical procedures. Medical or surgical procedures. Now, as you know that a person goes to a hospital in order to treat his or her medical problem. But while doing some medical procedure or surgeries, a person can get some other infection or some other pathogen into his or her body. So, why this happen? It happens due to contaminated instruments, right? Like for example, a person can handle endoscope, medical person, right? Endoscope, then we have catheters or other instruments, right? which can which can other instruments which can not, you can say, they are contaminated. Okay, since they are contaminated, so they might carry some pathogens, and those pathogens can be transmitted from one person to another person. Then we have improper sterilization sterilization techniques. Okay, in this case, you know, if the sterilization technique, right, like let us say that this is an arm. So before pricking your nerves, what we do is we clean this area using ethanol or some alcohol, so that the existing bacteria, virus, or any pathogens might get away from that site, and we can draw out clean blood, right? Now similar various techniques are used in medical field. Okay, so if these sterilization techniques are improper, then pathogen can obviously enter the normal host and can cause infection once again. Now these are all about the routes of transmission of pathogen. Thank you very much for listening this far. Thank you very much and see you soon. Do like, share and subscribe.